Welcome into our live bracket reveal show. Folks, thank you for joining us. My name is Dane Stewart. Super excited to dive into all the brackets and reveal to you all the seedings and state tournaments for 4A, 3A, and 2A, girls and boys. And without any further delay, because we know you're all anxious, let's dive into it. We're going to start first with the 4A girls bracket. Now, we're going to start kind of top left and work around the bracket for you. We'll kind of show you where teams are landing, and then we'll go through all the brackets. Then we'll come back and talk about any potential matchups that we have that might be of interest or maybe forecasting down the road potential interesting matchups. Let's start in the top left of our bracket, and we're going to start here with the 4A girls. 24 teams in this tournament, and we'll unveil our top quadrant. How about Jordan? A co-champ in Region 10, the number 13 seed taking on the 20th seed Hurricane Tigers. You have Dixie in the 12th seed taking on the 21 seed Murray Spartans, and Cottonwood, one of those co-region champs in Region 10 in the 5 seed, and Provo coming in at the 4 seed, your representation out of Region 8. As we move down to the bottom left portion of the bracket, we'll take a look at these, and we'll see our top overall seed here in 4A. And your number 1 seeded 4A team is, I think we all have a good feel, it is the Ridgeline Riverhawks. Cedar coming in at the 8 seed. They both get first-round buys. Ridgeline to take on the winner of Stansbury and Uinta. How about Mountain View in at the 9 seed to take on the 24th seeded Orem Tigers here in the first round of the state tournament. Let's move over to the right side of the bracket, and we will unveil the top right portion. Here we'll see the number 2 seed, as well as the matchups in this top right quadrant. Your number 2 seed, the undefeated Snow Canyon Warriors. Not a lot of surprise there. Snow Canyon had a great year this year. Meanwhile, coming in at the 7 seed, how about Desert Hills? Nice year for the Lady Thunder. Timpanogos Green Canyon, a first-round matchup to take on the winner of that to take on Snow Canyon. Then Mountain Crest in at the 10 seed to take on Bear River. And so as we move to the bottom right portion, there's, I think, one region champ that we have not unveiled yet. And we'll see where they come in. Guessing it's going to be at that number 3 seed. As we have a look, it is the Payson Lions in at number 3. Skyview in at number 6. To take on the winner of the 11-22 Tooele Westfield matchup, Crimson Cliffs and Pineview. Your other first-round matchup here in the girls bracket for 4A. I don't know there's a ton of surprise there. I think the top 3 seeds with Ridgeline, Snow Canyon, Payson, I think make a lot of sense. Cottonwood just outside of that. Be interesting, some matchups there. Provo sneaking in at that 4 seed over Cottonwood, who is one of those co-region 10 champs, but we'll dive into this a little bit more as the show continues. There's your 4A girls state championship bracket, as we now will move over and discuss the 4A boys bracket, and we'll approach this in a like manner as we did the girls. We'll start top left, and then we'll kind of go through it and show you where various teams stack up. We will start top left and reveal the 4 seed. It is the Dixie Flyers. How about the Fly Boys coming in at that 4 seed? Cottonwood in at number 5. Dixie will take on the winner of Skyview Logan. Cottonwood taking on the winner of Uinta, who's really good. Dawson Gardner, got to watch out for him and those Utes. And the winner of Uinta and Mountain Crest to take on the Cottonwood Colts in at your 5 seed, the Region 10 champs. Let's head down and look at the bottom left portion of this bracket. Your top seed in 4A. I was curious how this might fall. Green Canyon, your Region 11 champions, had a fantastic year. Just the one loss this year for the Wolves, which they made up for in region play. They'll take on the winner of Westfield and Bear River. Meanwhile, Provo securing the 8th seed out of Region 8 to take on the winner of Timpanogos and Cedar. The T-Wolves had a great start to the year. Lost a couple late. Could have a very interesting region matchup in that second round should they be able to get past the Cedar Reds. Let's move over to the right portion of our bracket. We'll start on that top right, and we'll unveil who the 2 seed was in the RPI. And coming in at the 2 seed for 4A boys, the Payson Lions. Wow, out of Region 8. How about the Lions? They'll take on the winner of Mountain View and Desert Hills. Crimson Cliffs coming in at the 7. They're your Region 9 champs to take on the winner of Pineview and Snow Canyon. Boy, a couple of surprises here on the 4A boys side. Tell you what, as we move down to look at the bottom right portion of the 4A bracket, we'll unveil the 3 seed, which will be the Ridgeline Riverhawks. So Ridgeline had a late loss, a couple losses in region play. Coming in at the 3 seed, they'll take on the winner of Jordan and Hillcrest. And then the 6 seeded Hurricane Tigers, my goodness, take on the winner of Murray and Stansbury. Watch out for Murray, folks. That 11 seed, that's a sneaky good team. That could be very, very interesting. So as we take a look at our 4A boys bracket, Ridgeline at the 3, that might shock some people. It may give some motivation to a certain team up north. Green Canyon coming in at your number 1. How about the representation out of Region 9? Very well represented in terms of seedings here in the 4A state bracket. All right, we will come back, talk about other matchups, things to be aware of here on the 4A side. But let's move to 3A very, very quickly because we know there's a lot of brackets we want to go through. We're going to start on the 3A girls side. 19 teams making it here on the 3A girls bracket. So 3 first-round games. Everyone else will get an advance. Let's start in the top left portion. How about South Summit? Emma Broadbent continues her fantastic career. In fact, broke the state record rebounding record. Emma Broadbent did. Congratulations to Emma. South Summit coming in at the number 4 seed to take on North Sanpete there at the 13. Emory number 5 and Ogden in at the 12 seed. In the top left portion of the bracket. Let's move down. We'll have a look at one of those first round games as well as get a look into who our top seed here is in the 3A state tournament. And your number 1 overall seed is the Grantsville Cowboys. I don't think a lot of debate or concern over that one. A fantastic year for Grantsville. They'll take on the winner of Summit Academy and Delta. Meanwhile, Judge coming in, your Region 14 champs, in the 8th seed to take on Layton Christian in an 8-9 matchup. All right, let's head over to the top right side of the bracket. We'll have a look now at the 2 seed in the 3A girls state bracket, as well as another one of those first round games. Canyon View coming in at the 2 seed to take on the winner of Juan Diego and Providence Hall. The Canyon View Falcons, a fantastic year, your Region 12 champions. And then they will take on, the 7-10 matchup, Juab Manti, a really good first-round game there between a couple teams very familiar with each other and region foes. Let's head down, take a look at our final quadrant here in the 3A girls bracket. Your 3rd seed, your number 3 seed here in this bracket this year is the Morgan Trojans. Take on the winner of Carbon and Ben Lomond. Meanwhile, that 6-11 matchup, Richfield and Union. Richfield, your defending state champs, the 6th seed here in the 3A state tournament. See if they can get a little momentum to come out of this, get to a semifinal. There you have it, your 3A girls state tournament bracket. There you have it. We'll come back, talk a little bit more about this again as we go throughout the rest of the show. Let's switch over now, have a look at our 3A boys bracket. Similar, except only 18 teams in the 3A boys bracket. So just 2 first-round games, everyone else with a bye. Let's go ahead and start top left quadrant. You see your number 4 seed, South Summit, taking on the Manti Templars, and then your number 5 seed, Juab, taking on the Ogden Tigers. In case you missed it, there's a heck of a play for Ogden last night. Braden Marlowe with a half-court heave to get a big win for Ogden. They come in at the 12 seed, do the Ogden Tigers. All right, let's move down, take a look here at the bottom left portion of our quadrant. Sorry about that, little technical glitch. Let's move down to the bottom left portion here of the 3A boys bracket. And we'll see who that number 1 overall seed is. In 3A, it is the Morgan Trojans, your Region 13 champion, to take on the winner of North Sanpete and Summit Academy. Congratulations to the Trojans being the top seed in 3A. Emory in at the 9 seed to take on American Heritage. American Heritage, your Region 14 champs. That's a sneaky good athletic team that the Patriots have. That A9 matchup really, really interesting here in the 3A boys state tournament. Let's head over to the top right portion of this bracket. We'll have a look at the 2 seed here in 3A, as well as that other first round matchup. The number 2 seed is the Canyon View Falcons, co-champs out of Region 12. They'll take on the winner of Ben Lomond and Providence Hall. And then how about this? Wow, Judge coming in at the 7 seed and Delta the 10. Judge, your defending state champions. Finished second in their region, in Region 14. That Judge team is extremely good, folks. They're very battle-tested. 7 seed, boy, that's going to be some bulletin board material for the boys up on the hill. Let's move down to the bottom right portion of this 3A boys bracket and show you our final quadrant remaining. Your number 3 seed here in 3A, the Richfield Wildcats, co-region champs out of Region 12 to take on the Carbon Dinos. Meanwhile, Union coming in at the 6 seed, Grantsville in at the 11 for that final 6-11 matchup. All right, there you have it, your 3A boys bracket unveiled here on our Bracketology Reveal show. Let's move now quickly to 2A. We will start with our 2A girls bracket. 27 teams making the postseason in 2A. There's a lot for us to unveil here. We'll do it in similar fashion. Let's start in our top left portion of the bracket. We'll unveil that 4 seed, who is Draper APA. The Eagles coming into the 4 seed to take on the winner of Gunnison and Salt Lake Academy. How about Duchesne coming in as the 5 seed, take on the winner of Waterford and Mazer Prep. So Draper APA, Region 17 champs, securing a top 4 seed here in the 2A girls bracket. Let's move down to the bottom left portion of our bracket. We'll unveil the top seed in the 2A girls state tournament. And your top seeded team in 2A will be North Summit. Not a lot of debate there. Undefeated year. They did have 1 loss, I believe, on the year. But North Summit was fantastic here. Region 15 champs. Surprisingly enough, they have not won a state championship since 2021. North Summit trying to get back on top of the mountain. They'll take on the winner of Water Canyon and Millard. Meanwhile, you have a look at those other matchups in this top-seeded quadrant. American Heritage taking on Parowan. St. Joseph taking on Freedom Prep there in the bottom left portion of the bracket. We'll move to the top right. Have a look at the 2nd seed as well as the rest of this bracket, or the rest of this quadrant. Your number 2 seed team, the Kanab Cowboys, looking for, or I think have won 3 straight state tournaments, I believe. Kanab has been great. They're the number 2 seed overall. ALA and San Juan, that 15-18 matchup, the winner of that to take on Kanab. Meanwhile, Grand and Merritt with the first round game, and Intermountain Christian and APA West Valley, your other first round game here in this top right quadrant. One more quadrant to reveal here on the 2A girls bracket. We'll move down, take care of that. Your 3 seed in the 2A girls state tournament will be South Sevier, a great year for the Rams. Co-region champs out of Region 18. They'll take on the winner of North Sevier and Rockwell. Meanwhile, you see Beaver taking on Utah Military Academy Camp Williams, and then Enterprise to take on Roland Hall in your other first round game. All right, a ton of games here in the 2A bracket. Very interesting. How about North Summit, Kanab, your 1-2? Could very easily see those two match up for a state championship when it's all said and done in 2A. One more bracket to reveal here. We're going to move over to the 2A boys bracket. We'll unveil that for you here very quickly. We'll do same thing. Top left portion, unveil the 4 seed in your 2A boys state tournament. And the 2nd overall seed, or the 4th overall seed, my apologies, is ALA. Been a great year for ALA. We saw them earlier this year. That is a really talented roster for Coach Ronnie Ross. They'll take on the winner of Intermountain Christian and Waterford. Meanwhile, Roland Hall coming in at the 5 seed. This is a great seed line for Roland Hall. That's a gritty team for Coach Alvarez. North Sevier and Millard, your first round game. The winner of that to take on the Winged Lions of Roland Hall. Let's move down to the bottom left portion of our 2A boys basketball bracket. We will unveil the top seed in 2A. And the top seed team in your 2A state tournament is Kanab. Kanab has been spectacular this year. Your Region 18 champions. They will take on the winner of Grand and Gunnison. Meanwhile, you see the other first round games, APA West Valley, Water Canyon playing in the first round, and then Merritt Academy and Salt Lake Academy, your other first round game here in the top seeded quadrant of your 2A boys bracket. Let's move to the top right. We will show the number 2 seed in the state tournament, as well as the rest of their quadrant. And the 2nd overall seed is South Sevier. Great year for the Rams. Really, boys and girls side both had great years for South Sevier. Taking on the winner of Parowan and Duchesne. Meanwhile, the other teams in that quadrant, San Juan to take on St. Joe's, and Draper APA to have a first-round game with Freedom Prep. One more quadrant to reveal here in our 2A boys bracketology video. We'll head to the bottom right portion. Your number 3 seed in 2A will be North Summit, your Region 15 champions, taking on the winner of Beaver and Mazer Prep. Meanwhile, you see Enterprise to take on Utah Military Academy Camp Williams, and Rockwell and Utah Military Academy Heel Field, your final first-round matchups. So there you have it. There is your seeding, your tournament for the 2A boys bracket. Boy, a lot that we could dive into here. Let's stay here with 2A. Let's just talk about this a little bit. We talked about a great year for North Summit. They were 18-4 overall. Really interesting when you have a look at where this gets slated. Kanab's been fantastic. ALA, I'm just really intrigued with this ALA team. We saw them play Roland Hall, and boy, the length that they have, their ability to drive, and they can play really intense defense as well. I think you look at the top of this bracket, this is going to be extremely tough. You look at for ALA, they swept Roland Hall this year. Last year, they were co-region champs. You have the addition now of Ross running the point. This is a very well built out roster for ALA. Figures to be a very, very tough test. And it's a team that I think they've got a lot of motivation behind them. You look at some of the other seed lines in this tournament. Kanab, obviously 12-0 in region play. They and South Sevier both finished 19-4 overall. So interesting that those are the top two teams. Kanab swept South Sevier in region play. So half of South Sevier losses coming to Kanab. I think that top spot very well earned, but it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Do we have a sleeper in 2A? I'm trying to give myself a look and just see if there's anyone I think could maybe create some havoc, some problems. I think your top 4 teams are all pretty solid. With basketball, you never quite know how it's going to turn out, but I think those top 4 well-positioned to potentially find their way through to a semifinal. And then at that point, I think it gets really interesting, these teams having to go up against each other. Let's move over to 2A girls. Give you just some thoughts on the 2A girls side. I feel like this is a year for North Summit. The last couple of years, they've been in very familiar territories where they are now. A lot of expectations heading in the tournament. Kanab's done a great job the last several years of coming up with wins. I think this North Summit team, though, you look at how balanced they are. 22-1 are the North Summit Braves on the season. And the thing to me that's most impressive about this group is you talk about all the top end scoring with Haslin Murdoch and Heartland Richens. They both average over 16 a game. Ellie Stevens is double figures as well. They rebound the basketball. In fact, Ellie Stevens averaging 14 boards a game. This North Summit team is really, really good. And you kind of wonder if there's a little extra motivation for them, having fallen short the last couple of years with how talented they've been. It'll be fun to see what kind of a run they can put together. How about Kanab coming in as the 2 seed in this state tournament on the girls' side? Kanab, they and South Sevier were co-region champs. They split their matchups this season. That Kanab team, really talented, as is South Sevier. I think both of these two teams certainly in the mix. It's why they're seated so high. But you look at Kanab and Savannah Bateman, her with Riley Little. That's been a great 1-2 duo for Kanab all year long. Meanwhile, Kinley Jensen, Sydney Patterson. We saw Sydney Patterson as a member of the Utah Top 50 the last couple of years. Really talented player. Does a lot more than just scoring. She is like a blue-collar type player. Just does anything her team needs. Great hustle out of her. Some great teams here atop 2A. And then, of course, you can't talk about 2A and not talk about Draper APA. You want to talk about having a great 1-2 punch? Draper APA has that. One of the best three-point shooters in the state in Aaliyah Baldwin. You match that up with Samantha Karchner, who's averaging a double-double. This is a really, really talented Draper APA squad. Again, very good teams at the top of 2A. There should be a lot of great basketball here in this 2A state tournament. Let's move up, talk a little bit just about the 3A bracket. We'll start on the 3A boys side. The one that was probably most interesting to me is where Judge came through. And, this is where the RPI, you might get a little, you might get some people who don't really like the RPI because of this very difficult schedule for Judge. They played up. They played Orem. They played a bunch of 4A, 5A teams this year to try to get them tested and proven. And then, I think that they had a lot of expectations for region play, and give all the credit in the world to American Heritage, who took care of business in region play. But this Judge team is still extremely good. And even the last loss of the year for Judge, which was against American Heritage, playing for a chance at a region title, that game goes to overtime. And American Heritage gets the win, right? And congratulations. We'll talk about the Patriots, how good they are. But in that game, you had 4 different players for Judge hit double-figure scoring. You had 4 different players hit threes, and 3 of them hit multiples. A very good roster. They can score in bunches. If this team plays good defense, this Judge team has all the potential in the world to make a run. Other teams here that you got to be aware of. Let's talk a little American Heritage, shall we? Because this is a team that doesn't get talked about a lot. They should get talked about a lot more than they do. And this American Heritage squad, you look at a young man in Mana Winitana. This kid is extremely athletic. I had someone go watch a game. And they're like, I saw him and was like, my goodness, this kid's an athlete. He'd go play football and be a stud. Yes, he could. He's that good. Averages 19 points a game. You mix that up with Brady Peary, who also averages over 18. You've got Weston Larson, who's right around that 10-figure. This American Heritage team, they can up and down the floor. Very, very good squad. That's one that you're going to have to be very, very careful with in 3A. But look, when you talk about 3A and what has been this year, it is Morgan. It has been Morgan all year. They are 22-1. This is a team, we talk about the top 50. We cover every fall and kind of getting ready for the basketball season. This is a team absolutely loaded with talent. You've got Bracken Saunders averaging 19 a game. You've got Jake Hansen at 14, Colton Asay at 15. This is 3A, folks. And by the way, you want to talk about teams testing themselves. This is a team happy to play up. Again, they played 4A teams this year. In fact, their only loss of the year came to Green Canyon, who only has 1 loss on the year. They're the top seed in 4A. This Morgan team is super talented. They're going to be super difficult to try to knock off here in 3A this year. It might be really interesting to see that Morgan American Heritage game potentially in a quarterfinal. That's a tough draw for American Heritage, but that would be one that would be super interesting. We can't talk about 3A and not just mention Logan Wollstonhume. He's one of the top scorers in the state. He's had an unreal season this year for South Summit. When you can score the basketball, you can do a lot of things. May need some support if the Wildcats want to make a run, try to get to a championship game or a state championship this year. But he is one of, if not the best scorer in the state on the boys' side this year. So watch out for South Summit as well. All right, let's move over to the 3A girls bracket. We'll give you a little, just have some quick discussion on that side. You look at 3A girls, it has been and it continues to be Grantsville's classification. It is Grantsville as I would say that the heavy favorite. Only 1 loss on the year. That came at the hands of Ridgeline, who's your top seed and undefeated team in 4A. This Grantsville team is extremely good with Allred and Louder. You've got D1 talent on the floor. They love to pressure you, get after you, cause turnovers, get up and get out on the run. They can shoot the ball extremely well, play really tough defense. Just ask Copper Hills. This Grantsville team is extremely, extremely talented. I would say the heavy favorite in 3A, but you know it's why you play the game. Other teams that may have, other teams to keep an eye on, right? And I don't know that I'm ready to go on a limb and say they could potentially beat Grantsville because Grantsville's been tough to stay with this year. But you look at Canyon View, the Falcons been really strong this year. Couple of players that can get in double figures regularly, and Maylee Spencer and Maya Nichols. Great player in the post, and Emery Miles rebounding and 9 points a game, average about 9 and 8 on the year. This is a really, really good Canyon View squad. I don't know, if they can match up, how they might match up with a team like a Grantsville, but it is a team that has played really good basketball all year long. One other team, we mentioned this earlier, and this is a team that I think it's going to be very fun to watch, and that is South Summit. We talked about Emma Broadbent. We talked about her breaking the career rebounding record in the state this last week. Congratulations, Emma. How about this line for Emma Broadbent? 20 points a game. Well, let's get detailed. 20.2 points per game, 20.5 rebounds per game. She's averaging more rebounds than points. Now, that's not all that rare, but when you're over 20 in each, just an unreal dominating presence has Emma Broadbent been all year for South Summit. She is the key, right? If you want to defeat South Summit, you got to find a way to slow her down. You're never going to keep her off the glass, but you got to find a way to slow her down offensively. Mariah Bowen averaging 12 per game. They need some support scoring for Broadbent. If they can get that, this team can be really strong. Play defense, rebound the basketball. You'll be in a lot of basketball games. That's been the recipe this year for South Summit. They've had the player to do it, and Emma Broadbent. Be interesting to see how far that 4-seeded South Summit team can get. Morgan coming in at the 3 seed. That was one that they finished 7-3. So how about you look at Region 13 between Grantsville, South Summit, and Morgan? 3 of your top 4 seeds coming out of that same region. The Morgan Trojans, been a really good year again this year for Morgan. Zoe Rockfield, 10 points per game. But Eva Berkland, we've talked about her. She's had games where she's just went off. Great 3-point shooter for the Morgan Trojans. When she's feeling good and gets that shot to fall, Morgan's a tough team to be able to score with. So there you go, your 3A girls state bracket. This is going to be an absolute blast of a tournament. A lot of teams that can make this, make some interesting runs in this. Will Grantsville be able to cap it off this year? I think most believe they will. I believe they will, but we'll see. There's a lot of games to be played before champions are crowned. Let's move to 4A. We'll give you some thoughts on the 4A bracket. The 4A boys bracket, this one had a lot of interesting things for me. And again, the RPI, it is all about the calculation, right? So there's not a lot of individual, well, we think this team is better than that team. It's all about strength of record, who you played, and what your record is. Green Canyon coming in number 1. That does not surprise me at all. This was, I think, the last undefeated team on the boys' side in the state this year. Their only loss came at the hands of Ridgeline. They then defeated Ridgeline once they matched up with them once again. This Green Canyon team is extremely, extremely good. And the thing you've got to appreciate about this Green Canyon team is early on in the year, it was the move-in, Haig, who was doing a lot of the scoring. But over the last couple of weeks, he's had a lot of great support, help coming from the guys like Crane and from Stokes. And when you get balance to help support your top scorer, that can mean great things for a team. Green Canyon is that good. And look, Haig has still been fantastic this year, 23 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game. He does everything for Green Canyon. This is a really good Wolves team on the year. So no surprise there. And talk about 4A. The surprise for me was, as we've been covering the state this year, I've kind of felt like basketball in Region 9 was maybe a little down. Their non-region records were not super strong. But, boy, you look at how the RPI worked out, and you've got a lot of very well-seeded teams. Dixie coming in, they were 8-4 in region play, 16-7 on the year. They're your 4 seed. But Crimson Cliffs, who was actually your region champ, is your 7 seed. That just surprised me when this all gets kind of unveiled. I would have figured Crimson Cliffs. Again, you look at the non-region schedule, and they both had the same overall record. But you look over the course of the year, and just because Crimson Cliffs, not only did they were they 2 games better than Dixie, they split the season series with Dixie. I was just surprised to see that much separation. Dixie all the way up to the 4, Crimson Cliffs at the 7. That was a little surprising to me. The other thing that was a little surprising to me, and for anyone who doesn't like where the RPA shakes out, there's a very simple way to fix it, and that is just win your games, right? Win your games, and it takes care of itself. Cottonwood coming in at the 5 seed. This was a team that was a preseason pick as your 4A state champions. Coming in at the 5 seed, they'll have a very difficult draw because we talked about Uinta, and they've got a scorer there, does Uinta. Uinta's been a tough team all year long. They've given a lot of fight to a lot of teams. Cottonwood better be ready for this Uinta team should Uinta beat Mountain Crest. But if Cottonwood has to face Uinta, then they might have to face the likes of a Dixie or a Skyview. By the way, that Skyview team isn't one to sleep on either. This is a very, very difficult quadrant for any of these teams to come out of. You look at Skyview can make a run. We talk about Dixie, Cottonwood, Uinta. There are 4 teams out of these 6 that you could very easily make a case find their way to a semifinal in 4A. This is probably the most difficult quadrant that I saw in all the brackets that we unveiled today. How about Payson coming in at the 2 seed? That was one that also surprised me a little bit. Payson's been great this year. They lost a couple of region games, the Lions did, but you look at this team, this is a really good basketball team. We have not seen a Payson team, in my opinion, this good for several years. But you look at the scoring they have and just the balance they have, because they don't have the guy who's like 18 points a game or 20 points per game. Instead, they've got 4 or 5 guys who are all averaging over 9. So you never quite know who to stop, who to defend. That balance is extremely challenging. It's going to be interesting to see when they play outside of their region, how do they do? They were really strong in their non-region this year. They had a couple of, stubbed their toe a couple times in region, lost to Timpanogos, lost to Uinta, because again, we talk about that Uinta team, folks, really, really good team. But they beat both of those 2 teams as well. They've played in close games. They've pulled close games out late. This Payson team coming into that 2 seed, I thought that was higher than I was expecting for them. You can make the case, though, that that's a good seeding based off of the resume that they had. And because we talked about this classification, the best record in this classification was Ridgeline at 22-1. The next best record was was Green Canyon at 22-1. The best record was Ridgeline. Their overall was 18-5. So there's a pretty big separation between your top team and that next group. And again, that Ridgeline team split the regular season with Green Canyon. So I don't say that to knock Ridgeline. Ridgeline coming to the 3 seed, I think it's a very fair seeding for them based off of how the season played out. But it's just interesting because there appears to be, according to records, a bit of a drop. We'll see if that plays out or not. But this Ridgeline team, I think this suits up very well. That Murray team is one you got to watch out for. In that 11 seed, I'll tell you, that's a team that's going to sneak up on people. We talked about Cottonwood. They were 11-1. Murray finished 10-2 in that region 10, 15-8 on the year. But they also tested themselves, played a very difficult schedule, played Lehigh, played Layton, played Olympus. Those are all teams that are going to be in the mix for state championships in 6A and 5A. This Murray team really tried to push themselves hard, defeated Cypress, lost to Highland, lost to Juan Diego. Folks, these are all teams that are going to be top 4, top 5 in upper classifications. This Murray team is going to be tough. And you look at Isaiah Bay, 15 points per game, Ethan Davies, Wilkerson, Trace Wilson. All those guys are averaging double figures. Caden Nelson. Look out for Murray, folks. That 11 seed would not shock me to see them put on a run in this 4A state bracket. So there you go. A lot of really good teams. We talk about there's a record separation from the top to the next level, but that just talks about the parity that exists in 4A. This one could get really funky by the time it's all said and done. 4A is going to be wide open. It's going to be a blast. All right, let's move over. Let's dive into the girls' side. Just talk about a couple of teams on the girls' side in the 4A state tournament. All right. First of all, I don't think that there's a ton of surprise in your top seed being Ridgeline. They've been the best team all year. And we've kind of even talked about it as we were going through the season. Are they better than Grantsville? Are they the best team in the state? And they answered that call once they defeated Grantsville late in the year. Very, very impressive year. You talk about, obviously, Skinner has an opportunity to go play at Duke, and she's going to be very successful there. This Ridgeline team has been the favorite all year. No real shocks. They come in as the 1 seed. I think probably the favorite in 4A. And we talk about Emily Skinner, averaging double-double, 27 and 10. That's a great average. That's a great average. You've got Abby Mumford, Reagan Brown. You've got Brooke Smith. There's a lot of pieces around her. McKady Jenks. It's more than just Emily Skinner. And I think that's the thing that people maybe gloss over. They think, oh, they've got a 5-star. Yeah, they do, but they got a lot of talent supporting that can step up. We do that Copper Hills game, and Emily Skinner had her moments, but man, she was never shy to give the ball away and let teammates do their thing. That is a really, really tough unit to stop. No shock there. Snow Canyon coming in the 2 seed. No shock there. The other undefeated team in the state, 23-0. Kind of feels like it should be a crash course for these two teams, right? Like it should be 1 and 2 in 4A that get the eventual state championship game. 23-0 our Snow Canyon. We talked about Olivia Hamlin, the season she's had, and we don't get to talk about it a lot because they just blow a lot of teams out. But Hamlin this year has been spectacular. If I'm correct, and look, that's about a 50-50 proposition. I think she's second in state scoring all time. She has an opportunity to surpass Taya Sidbury. She's got to have a deep run in this tournament. She's got to continue to have great games. She's averaging 29 a game, folks. I've got her 125 points behind that state record. So if she has 4 games averaging 30 points, she can be right there. That's a tall task, especially in a state tournament. Don't know if she'll make it happen or not. But that's how good of a scorer she has been over the course of her career. You mix that with Joey Jensen, Shaylee Andrews, Fallon Randall. There's a lot of other support scoring around there for Snow Canyon. Really, really good Warrior squad. Couple of other notes that were just interesting in unveiling this. Skyview coming in at that 6 seed was the second best team in Region 11, 15-7 overall. That was a little lower than I was expecting them to be, but that Skyview team has the talent to put together a run. The other thing that was really interesting to me was how the top teams in Region 10 were going to shake out in this tournament, because we talk about Cottonwood. I think they were the preseason region pick. For me, Tooele was a bit of a surprise this year. My apologies to Buff Nation. And then how about Jordan? And that's where, for me, the thing that surprised me a little bit, Cottonwood comes in at the 5 seed. No real surprise there. Caton and others, that's a very talented Cottonwood team. But you look at the surge that Jordan put on in the back half of region play, and this is where the RPI, again, I'm not criticizing the RPI, but it doesn't account for momentum, right? And that's fine. I have no problem with that. But you've got a Jordan team coming in that is 15-9 on the year, so that RPI is going to hurt them a little bit with some of their non-region record, but they're 10-2 in the same region as Tooele and Cottonwood, and each of those teams split with each other. So you look at this, a lot of parity there in games played on the floor. Parity between your 5 seed, your 11 seed, and your 13 seed. You know what that means? Look out Provo. It means look out the teams that have Jordan and Tooele in their path, because I think they're really good teams. Now, that being said, Provo is a very good team as well, as is Skyview. So you could have some really good second-round games in this 4A state tournament. Potentially some teams that, hey, if you think you're going to breeze over a double-digit seed, you might be in for a shock. Better be focused, better be ready, because that Tooele, that Jordan line, I'm not saying they're underseeded at all. Again, based off their record, I get why they're at, but they have competed with that number 5 seed. And all those games, whether they won or lost, were close as that trio played each other. So that'll be really interesting to play out. Watch out for Tooele. Watch out for Jordan. Teams that could potentially put a run together here in 4A. All right. State tournament time is here, folks. 2A, 3A, 4A state tournaments all begin next week. It's going to be a couple great weeks of basketball. And we want to thank you for joining us here on our live bracketology reveal show. Thank you so much. And just a reminder, you can catch playoff games online at kslsports.com, and we'll have all your championship games for you as well in 2A, 3A, 4A, boys and girls, right here on kslsports.com. Thank you so much for joining us for our live bracket reveal show. For Vince Francis, my name is Dane Stewart. We look forward to seeing state championships crowned right here on kslsports.com.